Welcome back to the Cozy Rosie Crochet channel. Today I am sharing with you how to transform my granny heart motif into a layered granny square. So rather than this being sewn on, it is joined in a layered manner in a nice and neat way so that you can show either side of the square and not be unhappy with it. For this tutorial, I'm just showing you how to layer on the granny square, and I popped a link in the right hand corner to take you to where you need to go and make your granny heart. If, like me, you've already fallen in love with these hearts and you're ready to transform many of them into these super cute granny squares, the main thing you're going to need is a contrasting yarn. I'm going to be using Stylecraft Special Aran in cream for all of these colours, and you're going to need a 5mm crochet hook and 4 stitch markers. We're going to use these stitch markers to mark exactly where we're going to be joining and working our yarn evenly around our hearts. So grab your stitch markers, grab your heart, and let's transform this into a layered granny square. The first thing I'm going to get you to do is to place your stitch markers. If you've been reading the pattern, and you may well have already marked out where these are going, but just to clarify, I'm going to talk you through the stitch counting and placement of these stitch markers. So the first thing you'll note is that I have the wrong side of the heart facing us, and I'm going to grab my first stitch marker. I'm going to count from the center out each way, and I want to identify the 5th stitch in our double crochet posts. So you may have to pull them about a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 5 for me. Double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's number 5, and we want to place the stitch marker into the lower stitches of that post. I'm doing that with the wrong side, so the light is behind me, just bear with. So you want to find the lower loops of that stitch and just place your stitch marker through those lower loops of that stitch. And then we're going to rotate so we have that bottom chain 2 space that we're looking at, and we're looking for the leg of the 2nd single crochet that we made into. So it's going to be the last post in that chain 2 space, and we're just catching that loop at the base of that single crochet. I move them that side, you can see them a little bit clearer in that chain 2 space, and we're going to count around from the middle out to get the same stitches on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there's number 5. So I'm going to isolate that and find those bottom loops and just place my stitch marker into the bottom loops of that stitch. And then we're counting down to that, we're going around to that next chain 2 space. To unlock my marker first. And we're looking for the 2nd loop of those single crochets. So you've got 1, 2, and I'm just putting my hook through that last loop of the single crochet. So your stitch markers, if I face them all out, will be nice and evenly spaced, and this is where we're going to join and work our yarn. We don't need our pink anymore. We're going to use our contrasting colour, and we're going to join to any of the marked stitches. I'm going to join with this one just because it's closest to me. I'm going to remove my marker and place my hook in through those loops that we had marked. Oops, there we go. And you've got to make sure you're at the bottom of that stitch. And I'm just going to place the yarn over the hook and bring it through. Into this stitch, I'm going to just make a chain 1, and then working into those bottom loops, I'm going to make a single crochet, a chain of 2 to create a corner, and a further single crochet into that same stitch base. I'm then going to make a chain of 5 And then I'm going to work into the next marked position. Into those stitches, we're going to work a single crochet, a chain of 2 to make our next corner, and back into that stitch base again, a second single crochet. So we've created 2 corners and we have a chain across the top to work into. I'm using scrap for this project, so it really is scrappy at the moment. We're going to repeat this the whole way around, making a chain of 5 before working into the base of the next marked stitch. Working 1 single crochet, a chain of 2 and another single crochet. We're going to make our chain of 5 again, and 5, joining to that next and final marked stitch base. And for a final time, we're adding a corner using a single crochet, a chain of 2 and a further single crochet. All that's left to do is to make our final chain of 5, and then we're going to slip stitch to that beginning single crochet that we made, with a slip stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain 2 corner space. And that has created the layer we need to build our granny square onto. It's really important that at the end of round 1 we are going to turn. So when you've turned your project, you won't be able to see the rear square that we've created, but we're going to be working a traditional granny square. So we're going to start by making a chain of 3, working into that same chain 2 corner space. We're going to work a further 2 double crochets, a chain of 2 and a further 2 double crochets into that same chain 2 corner space. All the yarn's attacking me. That's 1, 2 and 3. I am simply folding my heart out of the way, and you can see that we've created that granny corner just behind the corner of that heart. Folding the granny heart out of the way, you can see we've got that chain of 5 that we created previously. After our corner, we're going to make a chain of 1. We're going to skip the next 2 chains, working 3 double crochets into the 3rd chain of that group of 5. So that's 1, 2, why have I got a loop? And 3. Make a chain of 1, and then we're going to work into that next chain 2 corner space, working 3 double crochets, a chain of 2 and a further 3 double crochets, all into that same chain 2 corner space. You can see that we're really building that granny square behind our heart here. Going to make a chain of 1, and then into that 3rd chain across into that group of 5, we're working 3 double crochets once again. Going to chain 1, fold that out of the way to find our next chain 2 corner space, where we are once again working 3 double crochets, a chain of 2 and a further 3 double crochets. think I've picked up the wrong end of my yarn because I'm getting nothing but tangles. We're going to make our chain of 1 and working into that middle 3rd chain, work those 3 double crochets once again. Chain 1 and we're back to our corner once again, working 3 double crochets. That's number 3. We do our chain of 2 and a further 3 double crochets. What have they done to them? A chain of 1 and we are on our final side. So we just need to work those 3 double crochets into that middle 3rd chain. Going to make our chain of 1 and then join to the top of our beginning chain. And this time I am going to encourage you to slip stitch over to the corner space, working across the next 2 stitches and then into that chain 2 space with a slip stitch. And this yarn is catching up with me again. There we are. And that completes the first round of our granny square. At least it does from the back. We can't really see it from the front yet, but it is there. We're going to make one final round together in this pattern, and you can of course continue on to work as many rounds as you like on your granny square. For this round we again start with our chain of 3 into that chain 2 corner space. We work a further 2 double crochets, a chain of 2 and a further 2 double crochets. No, 3 double crochets, Fiona, sorry. Thinking about those chains of 2s. Just to replicate that corner, going to make a chain 1 and then into each chain 1 space across we're going to work 3 double crochets and a chain 1. That's 1, chain 1, into the next one we're working 3 double crochets followed by our chain of 1, and then we're back to our corner where we do work 3 double crochets, a chain of 2 and a further 3 double crochets. I don't know why I keep thinking 2. Do our chain 1 and we continue around working our granny square as normal. So we're into each chain 1 space across we are working 3 double crochets, a chain 1, and then into our chain 2 corner spaces we are working 3 double crochets, a chain of 2 and a further 3 double crochets. I'm not showing you this in any great detail because the detail is really in how to join the yarn. At least I hope it is, and you'll know how to make a granny square. You can really see how that is building up against our beautiful granny heart. So continue around repeating your granny stitch pattern for a traditional granny square, working 3 double crochets and a chain of 1 into each chain 1 space on the side, and then into your chain 2 corner spaces it's that 3 double crochet, a chain of 2 and a further 3 double crochets all the way back around to the beginning of the round. And while I'm just finishing up this round, I would like you to take a moment to share with me what you're planning to do with your granny squares. I already have an idea, and this square that I'm making now is actually number 16 for me. So if you're not quite sure what you're going to do with them, I would recommend watching the next video when it comes out. You're going to need a total of 16 of these squares. I have made 6 with pink hearts, 5 lavender hearts and 5 plum hearts, and I'm going to join them all together. If you want to get ahead for the next video for this little mini series all about hearts, really, that's what I'm doing, of these hearts with granny squares in pink, 5 in plum and 5 in lavender. So I'd love to know what you're planning to do with these granny squares. I will weave this end in, and of course that one. But 2 out of this whole granny square, there are only 4 ends to weave in, 2 from your heart and 2 from your square. I really hope you've enjoyed making your We Love Granny hearts and squares, and I hope you can join me for the next video so that we can put them all together and create something truly lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in the next video.